Okay. Okay. Really, so good. Okay. Do you think of some things you want to tell kids? Yeah, some things you want to tell.
Okay, so I think we are already live on Facebook, and it's 14 December. We are entering into the straight line to the end of the 2020, a very challenging year for all of us. And I am so honored to have this last live happening with somebody that I greatly admire. Maybe I never had a chance to tell her this directly. And I'm really, really happy that you took the time. Kate O'Brien is an amazing TB survivor, a very beautiful young lady. And she's having an amazing story of resilience, fight with TB, and also having an amazing family with two great boys that joined us today. And Danny, hello, Danny.
Hello.
And Jimmy, hello, Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, that are with us here today. So I will go to Kate, but I just want to say that my chat with Kate today is part of this entire effort that we try to really bring tuberculosis and you know the issue of TB in women and in children closer to people, to make everyone understand that even though this disease is with us for so long, is unfortunately the biggest infectious disease killer in the world, and unfortunately affects a lot of children, affects a lot of women, affects a lot of men, and is killing an incredible number of 4,000 people every single day. But I don't want to speak about sad things. I want to speak about people that are winners and fighters and survivors and people that never give up. So Kate, I'm so happy you are with us. Can you tell us briefly your story with TB and what you do now? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had tuberculosis in 2015 is when I was diagnosed. I had an active pulmonary infection when I was pregnant with Jimmy here. So that kind of made everything a little tougher. I think people didn't really give me the right diagnosis. I don't think people wanted to give me a chest X-ray when I was pregnant, and so I wound up not really being diagnosed until I was very, very sick. I was in an ICU. It was funny because you're talking about like, especially how it hits women, you know, I was coughing up blood and I had night sweats and everything, but it was very hard to get like a sense of urgency from any of my doctors. It was very hard to get people to see that it wasn't just a pregnant woman complaining. It wasn't just, I just think there's like this expectation that women who are pregnant are supposed to be uncomfortable and a certain expectation of pain and discomfort. And it was hard to get people to see that it was more than that. But I was very worried about my baby. And so by the time I was actually treated, I was very, very sick. I was dying. So I was treated in, you know, I had to go through an ICU and all this other terrible stuff. And I was isolated for 3 months. Away from my son Donnie at the time, who was 3. So it was something that really impacted my whole family. When I went into the hospital, I didn't know I was going to be isolated for so long. So I just thought I was going in to my gynecologist for like a routine checkup. And then she wanted me to go to the hospital right away. And then I just didn't walk out. So I didn't get to say goodbye to my son. And my husband all of a sudden became like, you know, a sole caretaker for my son overnight, you know. So, you know, it really did, my infection really impacted my kids quite a bit, you know, quite a great deal. And now I work for the National Tuberculosis Controllers Association in the United States, doing advocacy with a group called We Are TB, and it's all TB survivors from the United States. And it's been great. It's really great. We get to talk to other people who had TB, and we get to try and create some awareness and political will to get the funding that TB needs around the world, and for research and development and those kind of things. I talked a lot. I hope that that covers a lot of it, right? Like that was a lot. Oh, I can't hear you, Lucica.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. So I was saying that you didn't speak a lot. It was actually spot on, and I really am grateful for you for sharing the story, because it says and it shows how difficult it is when you get hit by something like TB and there is very little that you know about it and you understand, and it's like, what's going on with me? And especially as a woman being pregnant in the same time and with a 3-year-old at home, I imagine how difficult it was for you and for your husband to be there. And it's too little known about TB, and that's why the work that you do with the National TB Controllers Association, but also with the We Are TB, is so important, because normally people will not think that it's happening in US, it's happening in Germany, it's happening in, everyone says, oh, it's a disease of poverty. It's actually a disease that is spread through air, so it's airborne. So as long as we all breathe, we are all at risk. So, I wanted you to be here with your beautiful boys, because it's a successful story, and I also like the energy that kids are bringing up, but also because we want kids to speak for kids, and I wanted to chat a bit with Danny. Danny, you are 8 years of age, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? Did you think?
What I wanted to be when I grow up, I wanted to be someone that makes glass, because I liked because once I went in Sandy Hook and I saw like this glass shop and I saw them make glass.
Yeah, we saw this glass blowing thing, and Donnie's been really into it lately. So it was like kind of I was surprised, but yeah, he's been really into glass blowing. So that's
okay
right now.
You need to be, and did you, Jimmy, think what you want to be when you grow up, Jimmy?
Jimmy, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
Infectious disease doctor, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Video game.
Video games. Okay, well, there you go.
I think it's probably better than an infectious disease doctor.
Yeah.
But for you, Danny and Jimmy, you need to know that your mother was really fighting very hard to stay alive. Sorry to say it this way. So she's a superhero. So you need to treat her. She has some amazing powers. You know what I mean? And her power was to beat tuberculosis, which is a disease that affects people like us, but affects also kids. Do you want to have any superpowers?
What do you think?
Do you want to have any superpower?
If you could have a superpower, what would it be, Jimmy?
Speed.
Speed. No.
Yes, that's good.
And fire.
Oh, and fire? You want to be able to shoot fire?
Yeah.
Ralphie.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's very good.
Yeah.
And you, Danny?
What about you,
Danny?
I could probably be waterproof, so I can walk in the rain without getting wet. Also, I kind of would like super speed like Jimmy.
Okay, super speed, fire, and not getting wet. I think these are really good superpowers. But in the meantime, I need your help, because I lost my superpowers. So I need a bit of help from you to speak with other children. And, we need to see how we can make other, and then I'll go back to you, Kate, a bit to speak about some of your work and so on. But for you, Danny, and, Danny.
No, listen.
Okay, I'll with Danny first. If you have a chance to speak with other kids, and we want to make sure that they stay healthy, what would you tell them, Danny? Do you?
What would you tell other kids?
Wash your hands.
Good. And you, Jimmy, do you have anything for kids to do if they want to stay healthy? Your friends?
What do you think are some good things to stay healthy?
Nine cat.
No, well, I don't know about getting pets. I don't know about having a cat or anything like that. Yeah, well, I mean, it can give you emotional strength and support. Pets are good. Yeah, so everybody get pets.
I think get a cat is a good. I like because kids will come with a lot of new things, and if the kids, here is important for both of you. Listen here, Danny and Jim. If the kids will be able to tell to adults what they should do to take care of the kids, what would you like? Like if you had the power to speak with all the adults in the world, and they will do what you say, what would you tell the adults to do to keep the kids happy and healthy?
How about cat? Cover your mouth. Cover your mouth. I would also think that they should sleep. I think they should be. I think they should Well, I don't think anything else.
Okay, no problem.
So like if you're thinking about like adults, right? Like what are some things that you wish adults would do to kind of protect the world and kids like you? You can think.
Be a doctor.
I mean, yeah.
Be a dog.
Not a dog, but a doctor. I mean, dogs are great, but
okay, dogs are good as well. Dogs and cats. Dogs and cats. I think Jimmy has some suggestions with animals that I think is good. Yeah. Beyond animals, anything else, Jimmy? If you are here, like a king of a country, and you tell your people what to do.
What would you do if you were king, Donnie?
Yeah.
If I was king, if there's like an emergency.
Look at the camera.
With like something. If there's like an emergency, I would if I would ask what's the emergency and try to fix it.
Good. That's actually very good, Kate. We have it's a good approach. And Jimmy, you have any ideas as well, or?
Jimmy, what would you do if you were the king tomorrow? You don't know? All right. Well.
Okay, but I think he can give us a dog and a cat to all of us. I think that's something.
A dog and a cat.
Yeah.
And a hippopotamus.
And a hippopotamus. Yep. Okay.
And a panda.
Oh my God, that's okay.
Bear.
Okay.
And a tiger.
Okay.
And a cat.
Okay.
So I realize that if he will be a king, what advises for adults to get animals and take care of them. So I think that's good. And Danny is more like, okay, I want to understand the problem and then I will fix it. That's good. So Kate, I know you speak a lot with other people that are affected by TB, and you do a lot of advocacy and so on. So can you tell me a bit about the work that you're doing, and how easy or difficult it is? And yeah.
So right now, a lot of the work we're doing is basically right now with coronavirus kind of ravaging our TB programs here and across the world. A lot of the focus has kind of been what we can do to kind of protect our TB programs with their funding and their resources so that they can continue to take care of people. At least in the United States, a lot of our TB programs, they're like the experts on infectious disease and on respiratory illnesses. And we're really, they really were heroic coming to the coronavirus response in the United States, because as you know, it was pretty bad. It is pretty bad still. So we really want to try and help these programs get back to where they were before, and across the world. We want to make sure that there's funding and resources for TB programs around the world to continue doing the great work they're doing. After hopefully after there's an end to coronavirus. And so that's a huge part of what we're doing right now. And we also we're doing our normal patient support and our normal, you know, kind of community building around TB as well.
Do you see, you know, did you see this year some, you know, are people less coming to get diagnosed for TB? Or because, you know, we kept speaking, and that's why I'm so happy to be with you here, Kate, because we had interaction with a lot of our friends and colleagues from Pakistan, from Indonesia, from the Philippines, from India. We didn't have anyone like from US or even from the Americas. And you know, we got the impression in a lot of parts of the world that actually people with TB are less happy to go to be diagnosed. You know, they just don't go. So did you observe the same in the US?
We did. And there's like, there's, just as there was before, there was stigma around TB, and now there's just like this stigma around like coughing period and around appearing sick. You know, so that is one thing. Also, people are afraid just to go to hospitals, period. People are afraid to present to any care because they're trying to stay home. So there's like, it's a double side. If you are having symptoms, you are afraid to be found out. And if you don't have symptoms, you might be just afraid to seek care for anything because you're worried about getting sick. So, you know, it's just been very, 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 very hard. And again, like just the personnel from a lot of these departments, like they're going to other places. The state TB control person for a lot of big cities and a lot of states where we had a lot of TB, they're being put to coronavirus. And so there's, again, just a big loss of personnel. And, you know, in March, and when we first were hit with coronavirus, we had a real loss of personal protective equipment, or what we kind of say PPE all the time. So that was like a horrible problem. So obviously that was a problem in all infectious disease, not just coronavirus, but also in TB. So just, again, just the problem is, which again, I know you would agree with me here, is just that TB wasn't properly funded before this crisis. And that, you know, it's tough, right? When you've been doing advocacy around the importance of global health and public health, that it's kind of like, well, if you guys had listened to us, you know what I mean? You might be better able to weather this crisis a little better. So, you know, I'm hoping, you know, you try your hardest to look for a silver lining in anything. It's just that people see the importance of, you know, robustly funded public and global health programs. And like, yes, you know, these things happen here, you know, yes, they happen everywhere, you know, and just kind of the foolishness of thinking that a disease happening in one area of the world doesn't mean it won't happen anywhere. Just that kind of idea. And that's why I'm hoping when we talk about the response to coronavirus, and we talk about a potential vaccine, when we talk about all sorts of things, that it's a global thing in the United States. Like, it's not just like, oh, certain countries shouldn't have access to something and others shouldn't. You know, the whole point is that this is a global, that it's global health. Like, all health is really global health. And so I'm just kind of hoping that if anything comes out of coronavirus that makes it a little easier for people to think about TB in the long run, it's that kind of a concept of illnesses not having borders and all health being global health.
I agree. I agree with everything you said, as well as the fact that TB got hit. You know, we were not doing fantastically well in terms of funding and visibility. We were getting somewhere, and then COVID came. But I very much appreciate what you said, that a lot of things, if we were having in place for TB, such as the infection control, such as the protective equipment, such as the habit of using the mask, that for a long time the TB survivors, yourselves, and all the TB community was calling for, if we were used to wash our hands and so on, would have been much more easier in a way than, you know, X-ray machines. If it was the platforms that we use for active case finding, if they were available for TB, that could have immediately been deployed for COVID as well. So one thing that you said impressed me a lot, which is that there was stigma about TB, there was stigma about COVID. Now seems to be a stigma about simply coughing, right? Do you have calls, and do you have to speak with people that are facing some stigma on coughing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's kind of weird that I mean, no one. And to be honest, like if you're coughing in the United States, no one's going to really think it's tuberculosis first, right? But now, if you didn't feel stigma about that kind of symptom before, you're definitely feeling it now. You know, even I think people that never had TB, like if I'm not in public very much because I'm terrified to leave my home, but like I have too much lung damage. But when if you ever do cough in public, you know, I know people just feel like, oh my gosh, like no, it's not that. And it's also just funny that people now have had an experience with isolation. Like when I talked about being away from Donnie and being away from my family and what that was like, you know, isolation that was mandated by the state government, you know, like that's something that I don't think people really could wrap their heads around. Or, you know, like I had to be isolated. It wasn't just my, you know, obviously I wanted to not spread TB, but that whole thing that I have to be isolated. I don't think people really could wrap their heads around that until coronavirus. Like I've been talking about it for a couple of years, and now I think people kind of get it, you know? So that's kind of interesting too.
Yes, yes, it is. And that's what I was saying, that, you know, for example, the TB survivors and people that went through isolation and treatment like you and the other millions are an amazing resource or support for people with COVID, understanding the isolation and what it means. Because indeed, in a way, with TB was even more difficult because everyone around you was acting normally while you had to be isolated out there. You know, while here it's like we are all facing the same challenges. While, you know, when you had TB was much more on a individual basis, more solitude and more fears and you know, everything else. So yeah, it was and it remains extremely difficult to handle all these aspects, and I'm afraid it's not going to be easy. How did you pass through this period of isolation, lockdown in US? How easy was with your two?
For me, yeah, I mean, for me, I want to say that I'm pretty fortunate because my husband's been able to work at home, so we have an income. I think for a lot of people in the United States, it's been very difficult because there's been all these lockdown orders and all these closing of businesses, but there hasn't been a lot of support financially for people that should have been. I think we all know that there was one small stimulus check sent out, and I just think people are really struggling. And so that kind of has fed into a lot of the anger I think you might see if you're looking at the United States from outside, and a lot of I think a lot of it could have been measured if we had a little bit more support, you know, the general people. But for us, it's been, you know, because of my lung damage, it's been a little tough because I'm like afraid, again, I'm really afraid of getting coronavirus. The kids are doing school from home. But I'm lucky that I have that option, you know. A lot of people in WeAreTB and a lot of people that have tuberculosis in the United States don't really have the option of working from home. Have to return to working with the public, have to work jobs where they're, again, just in constant contact with the public, and that's tough. And I worry about a lot of us, honestly, you know, whether there's a financial burden or just that they have to be back in public. Donnie, please stop. Oh, I lost her.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was saying that you know, it's absolutely right what you say, and the pressure and the situation and all the challenges that are on everybody, but especially people that have additional lung damage or other health matters, and depending on their socioeconomic situation, it's indeed extremely difficult to deal with this time, especially with kids. You know, I don't think we emphasized enough that children that are in families in which, for example, I'm not referring to your case, but people that are active TB, you know, the adults. Today, I had actually a discussion in which somebody couldn't believe that if COVID is not, you know, infecting kids, why is TB infecting kids? You know, was like, because there is this entire story where kids with COVID are treated like, oh, and I said, no, with children and TB is different. If you have an adult with tuberculosis, the kid needs to be for sure put on preventive treatment, because we risk of having him infected and sick and so on. And kids that are contacts of adults with TB are at a big risk of getting infected. And I don't know how much people understand that. And that's why I appreciated, very much all your efforts during pregnancy to get the treatment and everything in such a way that, when you breastfeed, if you are, you must breastfeed and continue, but you might transmit to your baby and so on. So, yeah.
And that was scary too. Like, just I had a lot of questions about breastfeeding, and again, just like people couldn't really tell me the answer. What the answer I got to a lot of my questions about the effect of medications on pregnancy and breastfeeding were just that women were already doing it. Like, and that did make me feel a little bit better. But I heard that all the time, that women are doing this around the world. Women are breastfeeding on rifampin. Women are doing this on INH, and it was just kind of like, okay, but then like, you know what I mean? But like, so. I'm really hoping that that's something that we can get moving on, and something that we can work on is maybe, I know that there are efforts now to register any impacts on pregnancy on women that have already taken the treatments, like kind of logging what happens with the pregnancies and any effects. So I'm hoping that those efforts continue, and I mean, at least have some studies, to get women in that situation.
Yes. So as we are heading towards the end of our half an hour, Kate, I will see if your beautiful boys will have something as a message, and then I will ask you if you have a goodbye message. But before I go to Kate, I go to your mom. I want to know, Dani, do you have a message for do you want to tell me something, or to the kids of the world for 2021, for next year? What do you wish for all of us to have next year?
I wish that bad viruses would disappear.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I like that very much. I include TB in there. TB is a bacteria, but all of them should disappear. I agree with you. That is a good wish for 2021. And
coronavirus.
Coronavirus, absolutely. The coronavirus, but also the bacteria that gives tuberculosis. That's what I want on top. Okay. And Jimmy, do you have something that you want to see in 2021? Do you have anything that you wish to happen next year?
Do you have anything that you want to happen next year?
What crab dance? What make crab dance? What crab race?
Okay, so our cat's name is Crab Dance. I know that's an insane name for a cat, but he wants to watch a TV show with his cat. I mean, these are small goals for 2021 in the O'Brien household.
It's basically a video where like crabs are dancing, kind of, and also making music, and that's why he named him Crab Dance. He also he was a crab for Halloween.
He wasn't this. He was a crab for Halloween.
I actually think, Jimmy, I like targets that are really focused and that are achievable. So I think you will achieve yours. I think with Dani, me and your mom, we will need to work with Dani to make the bad viruses and the bad diseases disappear in 2021. So Kate, before I close, like, what would you wish for all of us in 2021, and what,
thank you, Donnie. Yeah, I'm just hoping that, again, just that people kind of come out of 2020 and go into 2021 kind of with just a bigger picture thinking, and just kind of all this time isolating hasn't made people not think of the world outside themselves, and just kind of seeing that connection. And I just really, really, really just hope for some learned lessons from this. I'm really just hoping that when I talk about the importance of everybody being able to see a doctor and everybody being able to see the care that they deserve as just human beings, that people get it, and see how that impacts them, and to see how it's all together and tied together.
That's really nice and really inspiring, Kate. And that's okay. I actually love, because they they kept us in a continuous movement, and that's actually what makes an entertaining conversation. And I'm very happy you guys took the time to be with us. And maybe, Kate, we have another one at the middle of 2021 to see how our little hopes for 2021 are doing, especially the dance with the cat, but also ending the disease and also securing access to people to the diagnosis and treatment for TB. So Kate, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Danny, and thank you, Jimmy. And you guys have an amazing, amazing break. And I'm really honored that I had the chance to speak with you, Kate. And I'm really, really honored that I have such a fighter and advocate in you for the TB world. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
You guys.